Welcome back to Movie Summary. Today we are diving into a film called An Organized Killer. The movie begins with a girl running and screaming for help in her house. She gets out and a woman with a mask catches up to her. That woman finishes her by drowning her in the pool. We then jump to Grace, who is celebrating with her friends. She is single and the new owner of the restaurant they are drinking at. Jacqueline reminds her that after 16 years together, her husband cheated on her, so she deserved to have fun. At this moment, James, her ex-husband, shows up and the girls leave, not happy that she is seeing him again. James came to give her the last paperwork of the divorce. He then wants to help her with the restaurant, but she doesn't need his help. We learn that the restaurant used to belong to him, but after divorce, the judge gave it to her. Grace then realizes in what bad state James is. He wants to come for dinner to see his daughter, but she tells him to leave. It's not a good place for him to come near anymore. Alex, one of the bartenders, tells her as she needs help, he is here. Jacqueline thinks she should try to date him. Later that day, Alex drives Grace home as both kiss. We are shown that a woman is spying on them from a car parked across. Grace then comes home and realizes her daughter Charlie is having a party with her school friends. She reminds her daughter to clean up the mess after. Later that night, Grace is relaxing in her sauna when a woman is seen walking in her house. The same woman from the beginning, she has a mask. Grace then goes out of the sauna and bumps into the woman. She runs outside to Kristen, her neighbor. Minutes later, the police is called. They advise her to get surveillance camera. Jacqueline really thinks Grace should get a roommate to not be by herself. The next day, Charlie wakes up and notices her mom is too happy. She then tells her mom it's not right because Alex is younger than her. Charlie then begs her mom to go see her dad. Grace accepts. Minutes later, Grace is looking for roommates online at a restaurant. A woman then arrives at the bar. Her name is Lilith. Grace hears her ordering and finds she has great taste in drink. Both women introduce themselves to each other. They decide to grab some drinks together. Jacqueline calls and Lilith picks up. Grace realizes Lilith is Jacqueline's friend that she sent to rent the room in her house. Lilith wants to see the room tonight. Both women then head to her house and Grace shows her the room. Lilith excuses herself to go to the bathroom but actually sneaks into Grace's room. When she goes downstairs, she finds Grace and Charlie arguing. The next day, Lilith moves in right away, which surprises Grace. While talking to Lilith, Charlie starts coughing extremely hard. She needs her inhaler. Charlie tells her it's in the restroom. Lilith goes there, takes it on her pocket and lies to Charlie and her mom that she couldn't find it. Charlie is having a bad reaction but Grace is able to find the second inhaler. Charlie then gets mad at her mother because she was on the phone with Alex while she was coughing. The next day, Grace closed the restaurant and is renovating. Lilith is with her and reveals to her that she is not into guys, she is into women. She starts looking at Grace in an intense way and Grace brings her back to the work in hand. Lilith is helping her with the new design. That same night, Lilith is in her room when she catches Grace making love to Alex. Kristen walks by and witnesses Lilith watching Grace. The next day, she tells it to Grace and tells her she had a bad feeling about that girl. Grace then heads to the restaurant and realizes the door is open. James surprises her from behind. He gets mad at her for redesigning his old restaurant. She reminds him this is not his restaurant anymore. He starts getting physical and the cops arrive. James promises them to never come back. Grace then wonders who called the police. She is confused. We realize it was Lilith. Days later, Lilith compliments Charlie on her drawings and Charlie thanks her, feeling she is the only one understanding her. Lilith then meets Kristen. Kristen tells her she doesn't like her and Lilith threatens her to not make waves or things will end up in a way she won't like it. The next day, Grace realizes some alcohol is missing from the restaurant. She then asks Lilith to pick up Charlie, who seemed to like her more and more. While she picks up the mail, Lilith puts the restaurant's alcohol in Charlie's bag. A little later, Lilith realizes an urgent letter came for Grace. It's the housing authorities that Kristen alerted, telling her she can't rent rooms in her house. Meanwhile, Grace talks to Jacqueline and realizes Lilith isn't a close friend of Jacqueline. Later that day, Lilith breaks into Kristen's house with a hammer and knocks her out. The next day, Grace hears some bottles from Charlie's bag. She opens it and sees the bottle of alcohol. Grace gets furious and grounds her daughter, who screams that she didn't take them. Lilith uses this opportunity to bond with Charlie. Grace then offers Lilith a full-time job. She needs a personal assistant so she can spend more time with Charlie. The next day, Grace offers to bring her daughter shopping. Someone then rings the bell. It's the police. Lilith comes closer with a gun but then hides it. The police announces Kristen is dead. They want Grace to send them any footage of her camera she has in case they see who walked to Kristen's house. Grace is heartbroken. She then checks and realizes the cameras were turned off. Alex then arrives and Lilith takes this opportunity to put some powder in Grace's drink. Minutes later, Grace drinks it. That same night, all four are having dinner, and Grace isn't feeling very good. Lilith then tells Charlie that her mom told her she could go to the party. But instead she brings Vanessa inside, changing her mind. They see Lilith and Alex arguing while Grace is unconscious. Lilith tells Charlie Alex tried to take advantage of Grace. The next day, James comes to confront him after Charlie telling to him what she heard. Both end up fighting and James shows that Grace sent him some hot photos of her. A little later, Jacqueline checks with her husband on what files they have on Lilith. That same night, Lilith kisses Grace, who is shocked. Jacqueline on her side finds out this is not the real Lilith that worked for her. Lilith comes and finishes her. The next day, Lilith points a gun at Charlie and asks her to call her dad to come to the house. She does. That same night, both get to the house and Lilith locks Charlie in the sauna, turning the temperature all the way up. James then arrives and Lilith points a gun at him. She then sends a video of Charlie screaming and James pretending to hold her hostage. Lilith forced him to do it and then knocks him out. Grace then arrives home and witnesses Lilith pointing a gun at James. She is shocked. Alex then reveals to be Lilith's brother. They are working together. Grace is in disbelief. Lilith goes for Grace but James knocks her gun out and a fight breaks out between the four of them. Grace then finishes Lilith and Alex. She runs to save her daughter from the sauna. Minutes later, the police announces they couldn't find the bodies of Lilith and Alex. They ran away. Days later, Jacqueline has recovered from her injuries and Grace and James got back together. Days later, Alex just met another girl. Lilith is nearby. It seems they have found their next victim. The movie ends. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out other movie summaries we have on our channel.